There was a Black woman that I connected with on community building who was a great wife and a great mother to her Black husband and beautiful Black children. And she shared with me some insights as a Black woman who was approaching her 50s and who practiced polygyny with her husband for over 20 years. And she told me that she thinks it's more necessary for Black men to practice wife sharing in this day and time because she thinks that it's easier for women to put their egos in check rather than men. And so she was concluding that it seemed as though this would be better to help Black men grow and spiritually be able to overcome their ego. So my name is Asha Sekhmet, and I am a Tantra practitioner, oracle, spirit guide, and founder of Maji Community. We are a spiritual community based on like-minded souls becoming closer to the Creator without strict religious doctrine. We practice sovereignty, tribalism, and polyamory. Now, I wanted to actually answer this question that I get in this video, which is, are me and my husband polygamous or polyamorous? And the answer to that is both. Now, I'm going to share more about why that is. Now, one, you may hear me speak a lot about my experience in husband sharing because most of my poly journey has been in husband sharing, or what you would consider polygyny. But I had transcended out of that and ascended to another level of community building with polyamory and functional polyamory with my husband today. Another reason why we practice polyamory is because I entered the marriage with my husband who has children by other women outside of me. And if he chooses, for instance, if he's no longer with those women and they may be in a relationship with another man, or one of them is, that is not polygyny, right? Now this is becoming more a polyamorous dynamic. Okay, so I enter my marriage like that. And me and my husband both are community leaders and healers. So it makes sense for us to practice polyamory because I am a Tantra practitioner. My husband is a preventative health practitioner. And together we build community through our work. So we're called to connect with a lot of people in our community, especially with the opposite sex. And so this lifestyle makes a lot of sense for us. Now, I want to just share this from this perspective too. I'm at a whole different level of community building than I was when I was in just husband sharing. But that was meant for my life path. Right? So like the sister that I was just describing, she understood that her life path was just to be with her husband. But it doesn't mean that she doesn't have a heart, a soul, thoughts, and insights to share with me. She understood that she would be with her husband for life. She understood what her connection is to source. But this is what she disclosed to me, as in this day and time, wife sharing being more needed to help check men egos, because she thinks women know how to do that more easily. Now, yeah, someone could say that that's an opinion, but I think that it was great insight, and I value and I trusted her opinion because of the amount of work that she put in, even with her community building, right? So for me, I was at a different level of community building when I was just in a headquarters with me and my husband at the time and another Black woman. It was a good experience, but I wasn't in a community. I wasn't sovereign. Now I'm actually in a community. I've actually been building that out because I'm practicing polyamory with my husband. Now, polyamory, functional polyamory, is having multiple intimate partners, but these can be co-parenting dynamics. These can be business relationships, all of these, when we're talking about functional polyamory, we're talking about the framework with the opposite sex to community build. And for us, functional polyamory means that you have to first be a husband and wife. That means that you already have those skills so you can be in a functional polyamorous dynamic to community build, because we're doing it to put the community needs first. And so I wanted to just share more about this and also really talk about, my insights as well to when a sister shared that with me and my real lived experiences. I'm like, okay, what she's saying is making a lot of sense after I've gone through it, because it's like, okay, we're community building, and with her husband, if you're, for instance, like interested in me and you like the type of work that we do in community building, some of the challenges that he had was working in a brotherhood, right? I am not going to just go branch off with just one poly family. I work with multiple poly families. Something that I actually do is work with a poly couple, and I could have a sister that I've been working with in sister wife trainings and pair them. And I actually did that with this family. And what I'm saying is that I can't just go do that with just one family and just go be like, even with my husband, like just be, I'm underneath my husband. My husband is, right, my headship. I still operate in that wifehood role. But I'm saying that if you're coming and you're saying that you want to build community resources together, and you also are looking at how we work in relationship with working, and that's of interest to you in terms of making it more of an intimate relationship, then you also have to learn how to work in a brotherhood. And these were some of the gaps that I was seeing along my journey that he could not really understand. He told me one time after I shared a video of a polygynous, what appeared to be a polygynous tribal family in Kenya, and they were being interviewed, and the man said that he had a back gate for his wives if they want to have fun with, a lover in their community. So they were really practicing polyamory, and I shared that with him because we don't get a lot of that information in terms of a lot of, patriarchal and colonial influence to these family structures. So I'm really focusing on the essential piece of brotherhood and community when I'm speaking about this. And he was like, when I shared that video with him, I am not a back gate inward, right? And my husband was like, well, walk through the front door, right? Because he's being communal, right? We're not talking about anything in terms of like focusing on sex or anything like that, right? We're talking about community building. So it's like how are we adding on and contributing to that community building? If you see this type of dynamic in which you like working with the brother and the sister, how are we working together? But see, if you can't keep your ego in check, your ego is going to sabotage that from happening. And I saw that, right? So then what happens in a scenario with a man who practices this concept because he can't get through his view of polygyny, like subconsciously, and he's not in any religion, but he wants to practice a spiritual form of polygamy, and it's like he's having a hard time keeping just two women intact because he can't get over this possessiveness, right? And that's not a community. Having multiple women with a man is not a community, and that will fail, because who is holding all of us accountable is the Most High. And when I say fail, I mean if a community is never brought out of that, because that's the whole reason that you're doing any poly relationships. Any poly relationships is to build community. So it's just certain things that I've been looking at when I've been assessing this, where we're talking about in this family. It's like, okay, so you birth a daughter in her 20s who went through these experiences with your family with polygyny, and now she is very against any form of polygamy, and she takes on feministic ideologies, and she is very just pro Black women. That is a bloodline curse, and that's what you get. That's not a community. So you just birthed something that goes against community, because that was the consciousness that you had to bring that life in. And that was the construct that she saw in her reality, growing up, like it not working. And I've met other Black women who come from polygamous tribes in Africa, who come over here in America and start their life with their husbands and everything. And when I sit down and have consultations with them, they describe to me what their upbringing was like. And this is not to say that everyone's experience is like that, because of course these are all different. There's so many different tribes, countries, communities that is in Africa. But based on my experience, I had one sister from Senegal, one sister from Nigeria, and another sister from Cameroon, who described to me what their upbringing was like with their father having multiple wives. And it was like the spirit of what they were doing was gone. The spirit of polygamy was gone from their upbringing. And so they had even some of the most resistance that I've seen to this family structure, because I had a sister from Nigeria just straight out tell me, I haven't seen this done right. So it brings this place where we have to understand, like, what are we actually doing this for? And we have to understand that in this day and time, with modern people in America getting exposed to this, and especially we're talking about with Black men having to reprogram, and men, American men in general, reprogramming misogynistic thoughts, patriarchy, and your view of women. That is necessary work to have a successful poly family, even if it is polygyny. That's why I stopped using that word, because there's a limitation on a man's thought process if he just sees that, but he is missing the spiritual evolution that's supposed to come out of it, and the real reason that you're doing it, which is building community and working towards sovereignty. If you're not on a route to that, like in a car with your wives, and you're not on a route to that, that's going to fail. The car will break down and dismantle, because who's holding us accountable? The Most High, right? So I think this is important. With some of the other things that I've been noticing in like content recently, like I've seen in social media, is like this possessiveness. Like I've seen some videos with like some brothers who, like one brother and his girlfriend, she was like having some type of ritual or thing that she was doing. I would just say not a ritual, but she was just sitting on her ex's graveyard and like having like some type of experience where she's just like remembering him or whatever. And he was like putting her out of the house because of this. That's possessiveness, right? It was another situation where there was a sister who said her ex started talking back to her, and she was like filming her boyfriend putting her stuff out, because she's saying that he can go out to the club and he can, be with women and he can do what he wants. And she's just talking to her ex. And I won't say just, because that is cheating, right? If she didn't get consent and talk to her husband or her boyfriend about it. But he was saying how, he's putting her out, but that's still possessiveness, because she's like, she's talking about the time frame, like you could tell he's emotionally hurt. So he's not giving her time. He's just like, okay, I'm just going to put it out right now, instead of like, saying like, okay, let's departure the relationship and just go on with your life. Like whatever we have to do to make this arrangement. But if your emotions are high, you're hurt, it's like, okay, just throw your stuff out, because she's talking to her ex, which cheating under any circumstances is not okay. Right? Dishonesty is not okay. But this is why we teach about functional polyamory, because it allows you to have authentic communication. It allows you to be authentically who you are and be able to, have contracts and be able to come together and have agreements with the type of relationships that you all are consenting to. So The reality is, in order for community to get built, there's a sisterhood and a brotherhood. We have the Poly workshop this upcoming Wednesday, January the 28th at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We are going to have a panel of sisters who practice the poly lifestyle, a community blueprint course, and a reflective community exercise that's really fun. And we will all walk away with actionable insights as to how to contribute to community and nation building. You can RSVP on my website, ashasekhmet.com/store. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Any insights that you take. Maybe there's some things that you disagree with or have added perspectives. But yeah, I think, this is a very important topic for us to have because, spiritual development and sexual development is necessary for practicing poly. So the whole reason that we're doing this is to spiritually evolve. Make sure you like this video, subscribe to my channel, and I will see you all in the next video.